I got a brilliant idea. Let's go to Jamaica.
This whole scene is getting on my nerves.
Like and subscribe may look simple to you, but for us, it's very valuable. So make sure to support us, and thank you for watching.
Stella Payne is a successful 40-year-old stockbroker who is raising her 11-year-old Quincy alone in California. Her friends are always trying to set her up on a date because she has been without a relationship for a long time. Between her busy work schedule and raising her son, she barely gets time to relax. Despite her friends' continuous nagging about her needing a man, she believes she is self-sufficient and doesn't want a man complicating her life. After a long time, Stella gets a break when she sends Quincy to his father for 2 weeks. While she was watching a TV commercial, she got the idea to take a vacation to Jamaica. So she spontaneously calls Delilah Abraham, her best friend since college, and asks her to go with her. But after a few minutes, she comes back to her senses and calls her a second time to cancel the vacation. Delilah, a carefree woman who enjoys her life, immediately calls her and begins to be persistent about taking the vacation. After realizing that Delilah would never take no for an answer, Stella agrees. Stella arrives in Montego Bay, Jamaica, using a first-class ticket and meets Delilah, who gives her a warm greeting. Delilah wants to spend time with some of the men and suggests some wealthy middle-aged football players to Stella. But Stella wants to simply enjoy the vacation doing her favorite things, relaxing, reading, and running. On their first day, Stella takes Delilah out for some exercise at the beach. After stretching for a few minutes, Delilah stays behind while Stella keeps running. As she was sitting for breakfast after her run, she was approached by an attractive young man, Winston Shakespeare, a 20-year-old man from the island. She is attracted to his muscular physique, but she is reluctant to let him try anything after noticing his youth. Winston, on the other hand, doesn't care about her age, although he didn't believe her when she told him her age because she doesn't look like it. He invites her to a pajama party at night, but she doesn't accept it. Later, after having a good swim and meeting with Delilah, who accuses her of being tight after Stella refuses to meet her later, she reconsiders Winston's offer and goes to the pajama party. She meets Winston and goes to the dance. Stella felt a little overdressed for the occasion and adjusted her clothes. Although she still keeps some of her reservations, she begins to slowly let loose and dance with Winston. The music tempo changed after a while, and Stella started showing some serious dance moves, which got noticed by Delilah, who came with 2 middle-aged men Stella was not comfortable hanging with. Delilah leaves her after teasing her for leaving her to hang out with some young guy. After a while, Stella also didn't want to stay and left the party when the music changed, and everyone at the party began to get naked. Delilah arrives at Stella's room later that night and begins to joke about Winston's age. She encourages Stella to have an affair with him, promising to keep it a secret, but Stella doesn't want to be with someone whom she is old enough to be his mother. In the morning, Winston sees Stella, who dives into the swimming pool in a bikini. Then he follows her after removing his shirt and starts to hit her, which she reciprocates. She asks him if he would like to be intimate with her, and he agrees, but he feared she might change her mind at the last minute, and it didn't take long. She doesn't believe what she has got herself into, and tells him she is old enough to be his mother again. Frustrated, Winston tells her to get it out of her system, and Stella agrees not to mention it. Winston and Stella get back to her hotel room, and they begin kissing. Their moment was almost ruined when he tried to make some romantic move using ice from the ice bucket champagne, but later they ended up sleeping together. After having a great time getting intimate, Stella begins to ask Winston about his career. Winston wants to be a doctor, but his family is putting pressure on him to go to medical school, especially because his father is a surgeon. So he postponed going to medical school and is looking for a summer job. On the other hand, Stella was a girl who grew up in the projects. Although she wanted to get into furniture, she ended up working in the corporate world and became a stockbroker. Despite her mother's encouragement to find her way, she had to make a lot of money to make it out of the projects. Just when Stella is enjoying Winston's company, he gives her sad news. Winston tells her that he has been hired as an assistant chef, and he will be on call all day and night for the rest of the week. Stella is not pleased with this news because she won't get to see him a lot. Then, she tells Winston they should stop seeing each other while they still can, but Winston begs her not to do it after telling her he has a 2-hour break every day. She agrees to keep seeing him after she hears his plea. Later, Stella sits down with Delilah, and they speak about Winston. Delilah could see Stella's anger for falling for a 20-year-old kid who she doesn't get to see after deciding to risk it all for him. She feels like a desperate person for someone her age. Stella has decided to call off her relationship with Winston, but Delilah kept nagging her to return his phone call. Sometime before she leaves Jamaica, Stella calls Winston, but she can't reach him, so she hung up the phone even though the person on the other end of the line offered to take a message. Stella arrives home and meets her friends, who start grilling her about her fling with Winston. Despite her efforts to dismiss it, they couldn't let it go, especially after she kept her cool when she heard about her scratched car while she was away. Some of them had fun with it, while one of them tried to shame her. When she arrives at work, she discovers that her job has been taken by another person after a merger with another company. Although they promised to offer her a good package, she may never get back to her job. She goes back home and shares the news with Quincy, who asks her to take him to Jamaica after seeing the pictures of the places she visited last time. But Stella tells him they can't go because she has to find a job and take on other things as well. While Stella was working out at home, she got a call from Winston, who took her number from Delilah. Delighted to hear how much he missed her, she agrees to come to Jamaica to come and visit him with Quincy. Stella arrives in Jamaica with Quincy and his cousin, Chantel. After meeting Winston, she introduces him to Quincy, and he gets off to a great start with the kids, which delights Stella. She has a great time with him, and in the evening, she gets a call from Delilah, who is lying on a hospital bed. Delilah has cancer, and it has been 2 since she got in the hospital. But she doesn't want to say anything to ruin Stella's vacation. Although Stella is having a good time with Winston, she is still not comfortable about being in a relationship with him because of his youth and inexperience in life. But Delilah encourages her to be with Winston, stating life is too short to waste. Then, Winston takes Stella and the kids to meet his parents, who don't approve of their son's relationship with an older woman. Stella was caught off guard, since he didn't tell her they were going to meet his parents. After spending some time at the mansion, and while a meal is being served, Stella sits down with Winston's mother, who confronts her about her relationship with Winston. Stella felt humiliated by what Winston's mother said, and she had some serious conversation with Winston. She called out his immaturity in the way he introduced her to his parents without her knowledge. Winston was disappointed when the issue of his age had somehow found its way in their conversation yet again. After they get back to the hotel, Stella gets a call from the doctor about Delilah's cancer, which has now spread to her liver. Devastated by the news, Stella takes the next flight and goes to New York. She cheers up Delilah and tries to make things comfortable for her. Winston attends the funeral, while Stella gives a touching speech about her friend. After the funeral, Winston tells Stella that he loves and flies with her to California. Upon arriving at her friend's home, Stella was surprised to see that there was a family gathering along with some barbecues and drinks. Winston gets excited about meeting Stella's family, but she is not ready because she was hoping to introduce him after a couple of months. Angela, one of Stella's friends, tells her that the relationship is short-lived, but the others are supportive of her. And this time, Stella isn't affected by what she heard. Instead, she enjoys dancing with Winston, who meets with her ex-husband, Walter. Winston bonds with Walter, speaking about Stella's stubborn character. Later, Winston arrives at Stella's home, where Quincy shows him around the house. He takes him into a carpentry shop. This was where Stella used to make some furniture. It has been years since Stella stopped coming into the room, and she plans to turn it into a guest room. Winston takes a special interest in this room, since Stella told him about her passion. While they were in the shop, Quincy had a man-to-man moment with Winston. He tells him that Stella likes him, since he was the only one she brought to their home quickly, and warns him to break his mom's heart. In the coming days, Winston, Stella, and Quincy have a good time at home. Winston consoles Stella after finding her crying alone in the middle of the night. Stella couldn't forget about losing her best friend, but now she had a shoulder to cry on in Winston. Everything seemed great at home, but Stella and Winston's relationship started to get tested outside. While they were out for a movie, some girls began looking at Winston lustfully, and Stella met Angela and some of her friends. Angela introduces her to Spencer, a man she was trying to set up Stella with. Spencer hits on Stella while Winston is watching. The next day, Angela goes to Angela's home and confronts her about the disrespect she showed to Winston. Angela apologizes to Stella after seeing she is serious, but it doesn't stop her from making Stella doubt her future with Winston. That night, while Stella is out on a date with Winston, she starts an argument when Winston offers to pay the bill. He thinks she is ashamed to be seen with him and finds her controlling, and Stella is annoyed with his childish behaviors, like playing a video game with Quincy and watching cartoons. After this fight, Winston leaves after paying the bills and telling her they could end their relationship if it was too much for her. After staying silent in bed for a while, Stella apologizes to Winston, and he takes her to the furniture workshop, where he has prepared a surprise for her. Winston cleaned and fixed up the shop, fitting it with all the latest equipment. This was his recognition of her dream and his encouragement to pursue her true passion. Delighted by the surprise, Stella gives him a warm hug. Stella's old brokerage company calls her, and they offer her a new position with a lot of money, which she turns down to try and start her own business. While she was stressing about the future, Winston proposes, and she tells him her heart wants it, but she needs some time to think about it. After a week passed, Winston and Stella got into a fight because Stella didn't give him an answer. This fight was different because it involved Quincy, who defended his mother in the argument. They reconcile and make love that night, but things are never the same for Winston. The next morning, Winston tells Stella that he is not satisfied with being a burden for her to deal with, and he has decided to go to medical school in Jamaica. After saying goodbye to Quincy and Stella, he takes a taxi to the airport. After reaching the terminal, Winston meets Stella, who is waiting for him on the stairs. She says yes to his proposal and asks him to consider studying at Stanford. The movie ends with Winston and Stella kissing, and Winston spinning her filled with joy.
And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our recap. Watch other recaps on the screen. Like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.